So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to meet and talk with you, His Holiness Hanumat Maharaj.
Yes, yes.
So, how did you came to Krishna Consciousness?
How far back do we go? I was born on Guam.
Okay.
Okay. And I think in my last lifetime I was a Chinese Mexican monk.
Okay.
Because I like Mexican food.
Mm.
And since I was a little child, I was always attracted to Oriental culture, philosophy.
Mm.
Yeah. So I grew up in California. My parents were there in Guam, and I think the stork showed up with a Chinese baby.
Okay.
And so I've always felt like a Chinese monk trapped in a white man's body. So from the very beginning, Oriental culture. But I grew up in Episcopal Church, which is monotheistic, Vaishnava.
Yeah.
And I had some good training there. And from a very young age, I was responding to that.
Yeah.
And so then I tried different things, and some devotee was distributing books.
Okay.
Yes. So I bought the Krishna book, the big one.
Yeah.
Thick one. And I read it for 1 year. And so many different things, philosophies and everything else I come across.
Yes.
Probably discussed it all very rationally. And then I had some mystical experiences, So finally, after 1 year, I started visiting the temple in San Francisco.
Okay.
And I moved in after a year. Then I got initiated in 74.
1974.
Yeah, so that's how because of a book, really.
Yeah, because of book.
And because there was an ISKCON center where I could go.
San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, you were still studying psychology?
No, I graduated in 1970. Started graduate school, and I realized my mentor agreed it was useless.
Okay.
And then I tried many different things after that. And then finally, I tried karate. I was working as a cabinet maker.
Okay.
And
Today morning you told us you got a black belt, karate black belt.
Yeah.
And why you went to psychology? What is the motivation?
Well, I started with, when I was growing up, we all were all sangat sanjayate kama.
Okay.
One's desires and ambitions develop from the company he keeps. So I was born in 48. I was going through the university and high school and everything else. When this whole Vietnam War was happening, and we were encountering, and after World War II was when science became king.
Okay.
Radar, atomic energy, airplanes, And so after World War II, science was just like dominating everything. Science will make us immortal. Science will tell us who we are. Science will take us to the far ends of the universe. So many science fiction magazines, everything else. Yes, that's what I grew up in that. So I started in electrical engineering because I wanted to investigate all these things. But I found out very quickly it was just a very mechanistic model and wasn't really very much to it. So then I changed to biology, to biological engineering. And so she's heading inward from the physical sciences to the life sciences, still a very mechanistic model. The Krebs free energy cycle is just a chemical machine. So then I'm looking more, and then there was psychology, so physical sciences, life sciences, and then psychology. But again, very mechanistic. So then I was still looking, and at that time, improvisational theater, I investigated that, and that's, even now, because it's what we're doing is improvisational theater. Basically, they're in touch with the Paramatma. They take you beyond like the learning facts, learning mathematics and grammar, to actually intuition, the techniques of stimulating intuition by games and so on. And so then, because the Christianity was always there in the background.
Yes.
So then I came in contact with ISKCON, Prabhupada, India.
So what was your first experience when you met Srila Prabhupada?
I met him in his book. He's there.
Okay.
He's there.
Yes, in the book.
He says that. He's there. He's a fact. I heard from Prabhupada's lips when he was in San Francisco in 75. He came there, and some reporter asked him, "Swamiji, what will happen to your movement when you die?" And I heard from Prabhupada's lips. Now you can hear from my lips.
Yes.
Yes. Prabhupada said, "I will never die. I will live forever in my books. And there are many places of people. One young man working in the Indian government, he read Prabhupada's book for 1 year. His life became so nice. And he met a devotee, came in, and he asked him maybe about 5 years ago. He said, now my life has changed so much because of your Guru Maharaj's book and stuff, Do you think if I wrote to him, he would write back to me? This is 5 years ago.
Okay.
So the devotee had to tell him, actually Prabhupada left his body in 1977. And it was like somebody coming and saying, what's your name? Oh, I'm sorry, there's been a very bad accident, your father's dead.
Okay.
Anyway, they would just say that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was just like that. The guy just said, because he was a totally personal relationship with Prabhupada, Paramama, and everything else. So I didn't know I was associating with Prabhupada. Physically, when he came to temple in San Francisco, I was just beginning to figure out who he was and so on. He wasn't just the author, he was the guru he was talking about always, find a guru. Okay. So first time I think was in right after Rath Yatra. And I was probably sitting on the Vyasa-san facing the deities, Gokulananda, Gauratai. I was sitting in the lecture, still without much realization. And I looked at Gauratai and their whole bodies were conscious. Their whole bodies were like alert. Yeah, so it was my mystical experience with Prabhupada. Other things too. Yeah.
So tell us more, after 1974, your interactions with Srila Prabhupada.
See, when I was initiated, Prabhupada already had something like 1,200 disciples or something, And so, again, direct contact by hearing his lectures and stuff, and also through his books. But also most of the association for most devotees, even devotees who were like very intimate with Prabhupada, they wouldn't be with him all the time, was through other devotees. So most of my physical association with Prabhupada was through Jayananda, and then Bhakti Hansaduta, and then Bhakti Srup Damodar. They had all hours and hours of walking, talking, sleeping, everything, being through things with Prabhupada. And I knew them, Hansaduta was amoral. He wasn't immoral, but he was amoral.
Okay. His
father was a big kind of Vaishya guy in Germany before the war. They lost everything. He went through the war, basically, and came out of it and was a refugee with his mother and brother. And, so he just became a street survival type guy. Government said, well, don't worry, there's plenty of food for everybody. There wasn't, so he would go up and grab a couple pieces for his sister and his brother and his mother and, So he was amoral. He was incredible administrator, everything else, pioneer. So I knew when he said Prabhupada did this, I was a Prabhupada, this and that. I knew him. You have to know the first link. It's okay. So a lot of my association in that sense with Prabhupada was through his disciples. Okay.
So you are in this moment almost 50 years from 1970s all the way 47. Very close to. So how is the initial days, 70s, 80s, and can you tell how it's progressed over last 4 or 5 decades?
Progressed. Has it progressed? And we look at any religion. My friend Dayadara Das, he was a PhD in neuroembryology or something, like that. We looked alike. He was talking to Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother, and he said, well, right after Lord Chaitanya disappeared, there was so many problems with the movement and everything else. If you look at the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there are just unlimited numbers of deviations. Some guy, Saki Beki or somebody becomes a guru and has, 4,000 disciples, and it goes on for 70 years or something, but it's got this kind of deviation, that kind of deviation. Some of them, are shocking, and some of them, the women have to leave the room when you talk about them. I mean, what they were doing in the name of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, you cannot discuss in mixed company. I mean, really, it was unbelievable. And so, ISKCON as a movement is not, free from the same thing. Are we making progress? In some areas, I would say that we're, we've had problems. But I would say in general, we're moving ahead. We'd be proud of all considering the amount of training we had from Prabhupada and our backgrounds and everything else, moving ahead. I mean, it's different. Prabhupada said, when he came, our best customers are hippies.
Yes.
So the movement was adjusted in terms of that. He was trying to start. He started off trying to distribute his books in bookstores and stuff.
Yeah.
And he discovered so many things. He tried so many things.
Yeah.
Like I say now, today I said, now our best customers are software engineers.
What is your biggest suggestion for the next generation who is watching this video in future? What are your few tips, advices in the bhakti?
No, it's just the same thing. Is that there are always, the Hare Krishna movement has to be continuously reinvented in terms of time, place, and circumstance. The basic principle is there. Rupa Goswami, we're following Rupa Goswami. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is our standard text. Prabhupada says the complete science of Krishna consciousness. But how to adjust it and apply it. At the time Rupa Goswami was writing it, Navanyaya was becoming prominent, very analytical. In the West, it was the age of reason. And the Catholic Church went one way, and then the university went the other way. So rational people became like a lot of faith. And Euclid's principles was selling the same number of books as the Bible in like the 16th century or something. So therefore they had to write it. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was extremely analytical. Look at Dhanara Maharaj's commentary. Here we did one graph, the whole thing with Gopal, and Prabhupada analyzes everything into Kanistadakari, Madhyamadakari, Uttamadakari, Sadhana Bhakti, Vaibhava, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, and the subcategory distinctions like that. And so, that was that time, and pretty much that same ambience has continued, that people are very interested in analyzing things, putting them in categories. Now I know. Okay, so, taking advantage of the ambience of our big acharyas who set the standard for several hundred years, and then you're going to have to reapply it.
Okay.
There's no more hippies. Oregon's the only place I know where there are hippies left. So you can't preach to hippies. Sunday love feast. That phrase is disappearing. Well, Prabhupada invented it because that was the phraseology people were using at that time. In Spanish, it doesn't work at all. In Spanish, if you say this, like la fiesta de amor, but amor means like this conjugal, sensuous, erotic type thing. Come to our Sunday love feast. You can see it just doesn't. In Spanish, you can't. You're going to change it right away. So basic principles are there, and Prabhupada as the Acharya set the standards, 16 nice rounds, 4 regular principles, and he was hammering on that. And so it works as a general principle for us. 64 rounds is not going to work with the industrialized society. 4 rounds is not enough. Okay, Prabhupada set a standard. But beyond that, it is specifically a contract with Krishna. Prabhupada made like that. Okay, so the practical reality of the fact, and also there's 3 ways to do things. The U.S. Army, they tell you this. There's 3 ways to do things: the right way, the wrong way, and the Army way. So there's the right way, the wrong way, and the ISKCON way. So ISKCON means 16 nice rounds a day for 4 regular principles. Somebody asked me about 7 years ago, after all this time, what is your summary of Krishna consciousness? I was thinking about it. Get up early and get your rounds done. That's it.
Okay.
Is it fact?
Yes.
Yeah. Once if you get up early, you can't be eating late at night. You get your rounds done nicely, then everything else is easy. You've got intelligence. You know what to do. When you go to work, your motive passion starts okay, but you've got a basis, and you're out of it. You know why you're working. What the goals are. Why you're trying to accomplish the goals.
It's very interesting. I interviewed His Holiness Bhaktimarg Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj. They said the same thing. I just always ask tell me an ABCD, and they said, chant your rounds in the morning, sleep early, get up early. And Bhaktimarg Maharaj said, do proactive chanting.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have problem that you do reactive chanting. Oh, I missed rounds, I will catch up next day.
Yeah.
So do rounds today itself for tomorrow, proactively. In that way you will keep doing, in that way it's less stressful. That's one tip I really liked when Bhakti Maharaj mentioned. So you do a lot of service like for last 4 decades, and especially now you are very much into like Srimad Bhagavatam. How did you develop that interest of like relishing Srimad Bhagavatam and sharing Srimad Bhagavatam with other people?
Wow, it's a part of our sampradaya.
Yeah.
In the Upadeshamrita, Prabhupada says other sampradayas cannot appreciate the importance of Radha Kund. Other sampradayas worship Vital, like that. We worship in Jagannath, Vitala, right? He's black. Vital, or Ranchorji.
Yeah.
So they're bona fide. Pushti Marg is totally bona fide sampradaya.
Yeah.
But they're worshiping Balagopal. Who loves Krishna more, his girlfriend or his mommy? Okay, so they say his mommy loves him more. We say no, it's Krishna. When they're, Shriman Narayan, get out of here. Atoms and molecules. So there are many. Once you join our sampradaya, we're especially emphasizing what Chaitanya says. One of the basic principles is Bhagavad Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. But scholarship is common everywhere. It's just all the acharyas, almost all the acharyas were, we're scholars and stuff. It's just a natural. What is it? Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Dhyana yoga, Bhakti yoga. If you have some experience of the whole thing like that, okay, then you're still down here in Karma yoga, but now it's Karma Mishra Bhakti yoga because you know where you're going and stuff. But I got to stop smoking. I got to get up in the morning. Karma, do things. Okay, I'm connected. I'm doing it. Now, like we're doing now it's Jnana yoga. But if it's for purpose of developing our bhakti, it's not just Jnana yoga. Now it's Jnana Mishra Bhakti yoga. If you don't know the goal, then you're doing Jnana yoga and being delivered. People like Walt Whitman, people like that, the famous American poet. He said, life is a spiral, right? I meet the same men, the same women again and again, but each time higher and higher. He said, life is a road. He says, where does it go? He said, I don't know, but it goes someplace good. So he's a jnani. He knows that. It's Brahman. Oh, you die, it's miserable. But no, he's convinced that, where does it go? I don't know, but I know it goes someplace good. He knows it. Here's a guy. Very nice person. But you can identify people and stuff. But if you have a taste of Brahmandi Brahmatikom, you get the bija, then you remember, okay, I remember that experience. I had that experience in the Hare Krishna temple. I got to go there again, But now I got to stop smoking and drinking, okay? So
when you saw Krishna deities and when you went to India and visited all these dhams, what is your experience and how you share to next generation? Because these days, whenever you tell God, whenever you tell deity, whenever, there is always that. So being in this movement for almost 50 years, 47 years, what is your experience, intimate experience with Krishna, the deity? Whenever I see Radha Kalchanji, I feel like I'm in the other world. It's so beautiful.
Upadeshamrita includes everything. It's a complete book. Prabhupada says the first book for Nephi devotee, but it's all there. If you follow it, the citations in there will take you to everything. So he says, text number 7, Syat Nama Krishna Charitade Sitapiya Vidya Patopatapja Rasanasa Navarchikanu. In the beginning, the name, form, pastimes, same form, qualities, associates, pastimes of Krishna, Nama Rupa Chaitanya, are like bitter. If somebody says, oh, we have to go to the temple, you say, oh my God, say, oh, we're going to watch the cricket match today for 5 hours. They go, oh, very good, You go to the mall, you spend a few $100s for your kids, Go to the temple, give $20 if you have to drag it out of you. Yeah, because there's no taste. It's just like it's bitter. so he gets described. You follow the process, and naturally it develops, and then you can go to Raganuga Bhakti. So the first thing is the name, Tanama. Hearing the name of Krishna, chanting, these kinds of things. You do that, Nama Rupa. Then you start, well, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And you want to see a picture, you want to see a form. The form starts to manifest, it becomes attractive. Nama Rupa Chari. Then you start to appreciate that you're chanting, Krishna looks unhappy and Radharani looks happy. Okay, what's happened today? What's happening there? Or they're both angry at me because I ate too much late at night and I wasn't able to get up properly. You begin to appreciate the experience, Nama Rupa Charit. And then when there's Sangha, there's Lila. So then it should manifest like that. And many times when Prabhupada, when he was like letting it happen, was experiencing Vrindavan Dham when he was with the deities and stuff and like that. So, but to come back down to this level and talk with people, you have to be able to come down to the place where, the world is composed of materialistic geometry and this kind of stuff, to be able to communicate. So the beginning is chanting, associating, and then you can begin to appreciate the holy places and deities. Other than that, you go there and it's just dirty and it's not recommended. It's not the Yuga Dharma. Only if you're chanting Yuga Dharma, then you can do sacrifices. Then you can do deity worship. Then you can do sacrifices. Then you can actually, control your mind.
After chanting for this long time.
Offensive, 47 years of offensive chanting. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So, what is your experience with the chanting and how it changed your life? Chanting.
Well, the first thing is obvious. It's a mantra. Because your mind is, psychology, everything else. You have some appreciation. You're thinking all kinds of depressive thoughts. I'm terrible. This and that. Everything else. So a mantra, right away, you can, you can make the mind think about something else. Because the mind will naturally be attracted to sound.
Okay.
And beads, your fingers. Your neurophysiology.
Yeah, you mentioned about homunculus, big lips and big tongue.
Yeah. So it's very natural that you chanting is stimulating the cerebral cortex and the mind. The only thing that stimulates the cerebral cortex more than that is kirtan. Because kirtan involves spatial discrimination, chanting and dancing, tonal discrimination, temporal discrimination. This is how much of the cerebral cortex is being engaged by this.
Yes.
So singing and dancing with trying to use some meaning. It's the most natural form of meditation. This is singing and dancing. Christian tradition is full of hymn singing and everything else. So it works in that sense of pulling your mind away from it. But then, of course, what does the mantra mean? And how much realization you have what the mantra is. People don't even believe in God, but they chant the names because they think it's some nice sound or something. Maybe it has some kind of the way it works. It has some kind of neurophysiological, nature to it. We'll do a CAT scan and see whether the word Krishna has this. So therefore, people anthropomorphically decided that this word Krishna was a name for some supreme person, and who doesn't exist really, but we created him. Then after that, of course, then you start to associate with Krishna, Golokara Premadana, and the holy name and stuff. You begin to appreciate that Krishna is there when you're calling his name. He's personally answering, he's personally aware of what you're doing. And gradually it's describing your Prabhupada was talking about your heart, and the word didn't register. And finally I realized, well, I do have a heart, because we're very mental. Carl Jung has some very interesting things about that, about we're all being stuck in our brains, Occidental people. And other cultures are actually in the heart. So then I was looking at my heart, and I realized I didn't have a stone heart. It was like an automobile tire. There's some flexibility for an automobile tire, right? But not much. So I was realizing, I'm very hard-hearted. Something not stone-like, but rubber tire. And so it goes on. I think it's just, you start to go on chanting, understanding culture, philosophy, seeing things differently. You begin to see the world differently. And it's no longer real. Now, as soon as whenever I see a beautiful, attractive, feminine form, Lord Chaitanya said, when I even see a wooden figure of a woman, I become agitated. Okay, it's part of the physiology. If a woman sees a guy with a big mustache and big shoulders, she's agitated. Okay, yeah. So automatically my intelligence just, it's this very thin covering, and behind that there's intestines, lungs. The brains come out like jello. And you realize it's just, what is this? It's just somebody using a puppet. And behind that, of course, is probably, women have a tendency to be in the mode of ignorance or passion. Guys be in the mode of goodness. Prabhupada says, one purport, a woman who's not attached to a man in the mode of goodness is guaranteed to be in the mode of passion or ignorance. So therefore they have anxiety, fear, and everything else. They're presenting some memories to attract a man because they want to get a hold of him to eliminate their fears. Who will take care of me, this and that. I need somebody I can control and stuff. So all these things, you start developing this, and you realize that's the situation. Then we can deal with the person who's in that body, who's in that mind, and just, okay, I understand your situation. I could be in the same situation in my next lifetime. Well, it's okay, but then, you start to try and relate to people on a spiritual platform. You take the temperature, right?
Yes.
So you chant Hare Krishna. You see Prabhupada was diagnosing people. Looking at Prabhupada's preaching, boy, he was a diagnostician. Within just a matter of minutes, he figured out who these people really were and what they needed. And they would, sometimes they would go away, or sometimes they would surrender, and then Prabhupada would start giving them the medicine they needed.
Wow.
Yes.
So we live in Omaha, and Abhiram Gopal Prabhu lives in Michigan. We live like 2 or 3 hours from temples. So how we continue the Krishna consciousness, without association, it's sometimes...
Abhimanyu, he knew how to get into the chakra vyuha, right? He didn't know how to get out. So there he was completely surrounded by enemies, right? So his conclusion was, if I kill everybody, there'll be nobody to escape from. So he started killing everybody. So if you have no devotees around you, you start making everybody around you into a Hare Krishna devotee. There are many different ways to do it. Telephone, communication, like that. But that's what basically the process is. Just, some people are demons, you avoid them. Some people are pantheists, they're on the first level. You start talking about the Sierra Club, the taste of water, the light of the sun, the fragrance of the earth. John Denver's song? You know John Denver? I think he's a fallen Gandharva. He died in an airplane accident. He was a really pantheistic guy. He was a folk singer. He did one, what do you call it? A big show. Where is it here? And right in the middle of this thing, with always thousands of people there, he started chanting the Jesus prayer, Our Father who art in heaven. And the promoters were going, oh my God, what's going to happen? But he finished it off, and the whole audience just went crazy like this, applauding everything else. Okay. John. I just got this phone. I had a Windows phone. Windows phones don't work anymore. John Denver. Okay, it's going to come up. Sunshine, I put an S there and it's finished. Yep, there we go.
Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy.
Nice, huh? Yeah.
Sunshine.
Do you want me to hold it?
In my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high.
So you realize by the Bhagavatam that these people are on the first level of God realization, second canto, chapter 2, pantheism. You say, hey, it's not, and then, if they can't understand Krishna directly, then they listen to these kind of songs rather than heavy metal, God damn the pusher man, God damn the pusher man. So you devotee, you go on studying, becoming a devotee, you realize, okay, this guy is on the demon, okay, I can't deal with him, I have to avoid him. This person, pantheist, you start talking about things and that level and stuff. Taste of water, light of the sun, fragrance of the earth, but we're always looking for people who can take the highest message because they can become co-workers, And the next level is Paramatma, And then people start introspection, meditation. You can start working with some meditation on beads and that kind of stuff. And finally, Bhagavan, you meet people who are Christians. You meet Christians and stuff, really still on Madhyamadikai basically, and stuff. You meet people like that and stuff, and then they can understand. When a Christian church, they try to understand what we're doing. And before I was initiated, everything else, my wife wasn't working out so well in this whole process. It was confusing for her. Okay, let's go find a Christian church for her. Oh, a Lutheran church. My family used to go to a Lutheran church. So we were associating with them. This was before I was initiated. And one family in the church was considered to be very pious people and stuff, always praying and everything else, So finally I was talking to the lady there and stuff, about 35, 40. And I was talking, so what are you doing? I said, we chant on beads, we chant the name of God like that, And she says, this is very interesting. She said, because when I'm praying the most intensely, I find myself saying over and over again, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. And she said, yeah. So she was, appreciating the holy name, like that and stuff, and she could understand. Okay, wow, I don't know what you're doing exactly, but boy, you seem to be on the right track. Okay, so then, and then when it comes down to abortion, we're all standing together, like that. When it comes down to family values, when it comes down to not blaspheming the name of God and trying to encourage little children to understand God and pray to Him in tradition. Okay, so this is. Interfaith dialogue is a very nice area for preaching. Very wonderful. We did a whole series of interfaith programs. Marriage in different traditions, literature in different traditions, saints in different traditions, music in different traditions. What if your church ruled the world? What would it be like? Everybody talks about it. It's very interesting.
Do you have any videos or publications on the interfaith?
Nothing, no. That's what I'm trying to do now, is doing all this stuff, and that's everybody's telling me now, okay, now I got to start this, sit down and start putting stuff together and writing and stuff like that and so on. But it's just, we have a lot of stuff we've done. Like I mentioned today, we did investigating. There's Christianity. No, there's a New Catholic Encyclopedia, which is okay. It's kind of good. A very, very, very good book. It's the biggest selling Christian book after the Bible. It's called Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis, written maybe like 300 years ago. It's written for, what do you call it, monks, brahmacharis, and grihastas. Both. Right? And you read this thing as a devotee, it's challenging. Because it's like he's talking about real religion, and if you have time, you can maybe talk to somebody else, or you can read Prabhupada's books. Maybe you should read Prabhupada's books, because you start talking to somebody else, you'll start fault-finding and engaging in gossip.
Yes.
Right. You think you're a great devotee, and he goes through all these challenging things and stuff. So that's a very, very nice book to read.
Yes.
So Maharaj, a few things about from what your answer and discussion was. I just wanted to clarify a few things. One thing you mentioned, that first time you met Prabhupada was through his books, and Prabhupada said he's present in his books. Now, you also mentioned personal association with the devotees was another way you
physical association. Physical association, vapu.
Physical association, but you mentioned vapu with the body.
So I had vapu association with Hansaduda and people like that.
So now some people, like Ritviks and others, they would, emphasize on the first part that Srila Prabhupada said he's present in his books, and especially coming from as disciples, they tend to, focus that and, make that as the main point.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate on that? So how can we understand?
I don't know anybody who calls themselves Ritviks of all these different groups. Different groups, and many different groups who are not a part of not a part of our institution. Many times, almost always, some charismatic person goes off, and then develops his following and whatever else like that. I don't want to mention any names here. There are many of them in South India, in Bangalore, and other places in South America. But they're very charismatic people, whatever. Some of them have left and come back. They're very prominent persons in ISKCON now. Yeah, it's not necessarily that our GBC and everybody else are perfect. They make mistakes, and sometimes we have to stand up against them and say this is wrong, and they accepted it many times. Things have been reformed, So, I don't know anybody who calls themselves Ritvik. As far as I know, Prabhupada never uses the term one time in a single purport. It occurs in the Sanskrit a few times, and it's just translated as priest or something like that. So to me, it's almost useless to try and talk about Ritvik philosophy, Mayavad philosophy, Buddhist, and these kind of stuff. We know what we're talking about, So Ritvik is just, But so, okay, what's your definition? Well, Prabhupada's, one very common definition is Prabhupada is the only Diksha guru in ISKCON. To me, there's an overemphasis on Diksha. On the one side is saying Prabhupada is the only Diksha guru, and the other side is to say that all the people who are giving the chanting on the beads and giving the names now are all the divine acharyas. And when Prabhupada left, that was the thing. We didn't know what was happening. So anybody who's a guru has to be a guru like Prabhupada. And of course, some attraction like that, because they're not perfectly purified, and also some confusion. That's what the job means or something. So everybody, that was the thing, everybody was now a new Prabhupada. They all had Vishnupad, was Acharya Dev, Acharya Pad. Everybody had to become a Prabhupada. And it just, we discovered it's not working, And we survived it because Prabhupada trained Brahmins. So many people knew the books well enough that he created an ambience, and they then, pushed over the political deviations, which were quite tough, strong. And then you adjusted like that, okay. So, again, it's a personal thing. The gopis live at three levels. They are good citizens of Nanda Maharaj's village. They milk cows, they make yogurt, they go and argue with the price of yogurt in the marketplace. You don't want to barter with the gopis on the price of yogurt. They're like, okay. They pay their taxes. So we should all support the GBC, we should support our institution, okay? Prabhupada's institution. But we should be brave enough and honest enough to say this is wrong and stuff. And even though it may be, like threatening to our institutional position to come out against things and stuff. Okay, but this is my responsibility to say that. The GBC is the ultimate administrative body, but that doesn't mean that they themselves can't have problems and stuff. Okay. The second level of the gopis is when they hear the sound of Krishna's flute, they're milking cows, they look around and start talking to their friends about what's happening. So in ISKCON, we have to have friends. Many times Prabhupada presents the Hare Krishna movement as that, like it's a movement where, and you invite people to come and meet your friends, and they can be friends here, find their own friends, and different friends are different things. The biggest administrative person, his closest friend, may be some guy who has an IQ of 75, who's a pot washer in ISKCON, but, but they're like friends, my friend, Yeah. Cheerful. Okay. So you have our friends in ISKCON. Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. Yeah. You're not unless you have friends. Okay. The third level is they have their own personal, individual relationship with Krishna. Well, Krishna's playing that song now. He made that song for me last night. Maybe he's thinking of me. So at some point in your life, you've got to actually develop this personal relationship with Prabhupada. Of course, it'll be through through the Paramatma, through so many transparent via media. I know I had some association with Hansaduta, so I knew how to use him as a lens, right? And to see Prabhupada, and stuff, and what he was saying about things. Prabhupada still told me this, and this. Yeah, because you're a Kshatriya, and that's the way he dealt with you. And that's why, other people. Yeah. So in the end, I remember I was walking up a hill in San Francisco, going to go to work. I was living in the temple, and everything was a complete chaos. And then finally, I made this commitment, even if the institution fell apart, if nobody else was going to do, I was going to serve Prabhupada. And I knew enough about what he wanted, no doubt about it, that I could do it. And that was the point where it was like, Prabhupada knew me, I knew him. Yeah. But, you don't want to stay in, Chanakapanda says, one should not get too close or too far away from three things: a fire, a brahmana, or a king. If you get too close, you're going to get burned. If you get too far away, you derive no benefit. So you've got to figure out how close to be to Prabhupada in different ways like that. Yeah.
So Maharaj, on the same lines, like...
so everybody should, I think it's very natural to be initiated in ISKCON. I think ISKCON is working well enough so that first initiation, second initiation, there are problems, everything else, you figure them out with your friends and your connection to Prabhupada. But in general, as an institution, I think it's okay. Abraham Lincoln said, democracy is a terrible form of government, Abraham Lincoln, but all the others are so much worse. ISKCON is a terrible institution, but all the others are so much worse. Yeah? You look at it. Our deity worship's going on, we're vegetarian. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So Maharaj, on the same lines, confusion also comes sometimes about the editing of the books.
Yeah.
So what is your,
I try
how
to
can you explain?
investigate myself, because another thing I heard from, I heard, Prabhupada said, I will live forever in my books, okay. So, many things. One thing, I got the original Krishna book dictation tapes. You can get those. So you go to prabhupadvani.org and you can listen to them there. He's probably dictating the Krishna book. And right away you see that this had to be edited. Prabhupada didn't know English grammar that well. I think even to the very end of his life. Apparently Prabhupada was out walking in New York with the devotees and he saw the F word on the wall. We all know the F word. He came back into class that night and he said, all these people want is... In the 1960s, all the people are, Swami, you said the F word. He looked around and he said, oh, did I say something wrong? And he asked them what it meant. They said, oh, it means sexual intercourse, Prabhupada. And he said, oh, did I say something wrong? And he said, well, yes, Prabhupada, it means sexual intercourse, but it's a very strong word, Prabhupada. He said, oh, I did not know. So I think many things like that. Prabhupada says right in his books, and I says, not my language. It's right to the very end, Prabhupada's diction and grammar and his understanding of things.
Tadvad visargo janatad viplavo.
Yeah.
That is the shloka where it says.
Yes. And so even in questions to the Prabhupada traveling and everything else, to Krishna Maharaj or somebody would have to put the question into format for Prabhupada. Prabhupada might ask you, what is your qualification? Now in India that means what is your diploma level?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know what it meant. So somebody would have, he's asking you if you have studied formally, Yeah. So same way, from the very beginning, Prabhupada was having people edit the books and so on, And after that, it's a question, and I think they've done a pretty good job. Again, myself, I think they've done a pretty good job of there are mistakes in Upadeshamrita, which I know, as my book, a detailed study. There's a mistake in there. In the 7th canto, it says it's not in the 7th canto, it's in the 10th canto. Look for the entire 7th canto, you won't find that citation, he's paraphrasing it. In Bhaktisiddhanta's original commentary on Vritta, he says 10th canto. So what do? Should we change it to 10th canto? Or should we put a footnote in saying the original text will read like this, but the actual text is actually this verse in the 10th canto? Investigating it is actually like that. I'm more in favor of the footnote stuff. The Planet of the Trees, it's a famous one. When Yamaraj was becoming Vidura, then the king of the planet, then what's his name? The king of the planet of the trees took over. It's Pitris.
Yeah, Pitris. Yeah.
The devotees didn't know this, so should we leave it in there as a planet of the trees, or should we just change it to Pitris? That's a question. Myself, I tend more towards, because I'm a more rigid German mentality, of putting in footnotes.
But
saying these footnotes are being put in by us. The original books are like this and that.
But I think currently they are printing both the editions, right? The original, like older edition, as well as the newer.
Some books are doing that mostly because Hansaduta and everybody else and the people along this line got copyrights up to 1977. They got the copyrights, you know, Hansaduta and some other people. So they started reprinting them. And there's also, as far as I know, political motivation behind that. We have the real Prabhupada, join our institution, give us money, you know. Yeah. But it's okay. You know. Yeah.
The other question was, like, sometimes you were talking about connecting newer people, local people, you know, like Abhimanyu went in and started killing all the enemies. So, you know, one question which sometimes Western devotees in particular asked when they went to temple, when they saw Krishna, in the first time they felt is dressed like a girl with, you know, maybe lipstick and, you know, the dress. So how was your impression for the first time, and how would you, you know, explain this to the new people or the Western people if they ask this kind of a question?
Again, I came in as basically a Brahmavadi. I mean, I just like read religion, spirituality, with some experiences from Christianity, previous lifetime. But mostly when I came to the temple, the first thing I got was a Krishna book. That was Krishna's arrangement. So those were all Jadharani's paintings. And those were definitely you could take LSD and look at those paintings like that, you know. They were definitely like, you know, transcendental, those paintings. They were very iconographic, very simple. They weren't heavy realism. Now they've gone more towards realism, and I think they're losing like some of the intensity and so on. You know, many different kinds of Krishna art. But hers were just like very kind of simple, strong primary colors and stuff, and illustrated the pastimes. And Krishna was dressed like this and that. And again, you know, I was a Chinese monk in my last lifetime, so from the very beginning I was accustomed to people wearing robes and everything else. So for me it was never a problem. I could understand who's the boys and who's the girls and that kind of stuff, you know. Other people, again, it's a cultural thing. So you got to deal with them individually and say, well, this is traditional Indian dress and stuff. And, oh, really? What does that mean? Looks funny. It's different. You know? Yeah, so some people, there is a big cultural thing, but that's okay. Give Krishna West, and, you know, just chant Hare Krishna. You can, Trey Rishi in Iran, he asked Prabhupada when he was there if they could chant the Maha Mantra in Farsi in Iran. And Prabhupada said yes. So he sat with Prabhupada, he said maybe like 45 minutes or something. We were going through all these different words and coming up with the exact word in Farsi that would represent Hare, and the exact word for Krishna, who is Rama, discussing very intensely who is Rama, and coming out with, and so I don't know if it's Fatima, Allahu, yeah, Fatima, Allahu, Fatima. But he came up with something, you know, very good, and approved by Prabhupada. He says you can chant the names of God in this fashion. You can chant Allahu Akbar, it's no problem. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You do that. Om. Yeah. Very effective. Yeah. So different people are on different levels.
So generally, like, let's say majority Caucasian, white American goes to the temple, brought up in this culture.
We're not all the same fella. I mean, you brown guys maybe look at us that way. There are wops, dagos, spics, all these things. Italians won't have any problem with the deity worship. Yeah, because they're all Catholic. And Spanish people and Italians will have no problem with the deity worship. They have deities in all their temples. The Germans will have problems because they're all Protestants and they're Ritviks. Yeah. You know, Martin Luther and all these kind of people. Yeah.
So any recommendations for us, like how, or just use our intelligence and try to...
That's right, that level, first class, why are they in the temple? You know, they meet people on the street, they talk and everything else, and you know, the music and everything else, the food, good food and good music and stuffing, and what does this mean and stuff. Yeah. Right now we're attracting people who can become devotees, Prabhupada said. You know, and other people we try and help as much as we can, but you know, when people want to become devotees, they can accept it and get involved, okay, and then they can go out and talk to their communities like that in more detail, get it across. You know, Prabhupada said the deity should have the features of local people. And Manipur, Radha and Krishna have a little bit of like, you know, aspect. He said that. Yeah. So then you can understand it, putting it in their language, why does Krishna dress this way? To me it's like, I like seeing Krishna dress. I like how the deities are dressed in Mangal Artik. It's a very intimate time, very simple and stuff. They're allowing and the big when they're Shringar, it's done okay, but many times it's just when I was Hipajari for a long time, Hipajari told me when I first started, he said, everybody thinks they're going to make Krishna beautiful. Krishna already is beautiful, and so all your ornamentation is trying to bring out his features. Wow, okay. If you do that, then people won't even notice the dress, so to see Krishna and stuff. But other than that, it's just, the food is different, right? How do you tell them why we're eating rice and all this kind of stuff and this spicing, And so, Western, ladies preaching to ladies, kids preaching to kids, Italians preaching to Italians. Hey, va bene, come here, we're cooking pasta tonight. Offer it to Krishna. Oh yeah, Krishna loves pasta. You want to drive all the Italians out of the temple, stop serving pasta for 1 week. Do you know how to drive the Germans out? No potatoes. How do you drive the South Indians out?
No spice.
Yeah, no coconut and no rice.
No rice, no spice.
Okay, yeah. And when Indian boy South Indian, his mother couldn't cook without coconut. It was just like,
Maharaj, one more thing.
Okay, last question.
Last question.
Yeah.
About, you mentioned about time, place and circumstance.
Kaladesha
Kala Desha Patra. And
before that is Purusha. Purusha, Kala Desha Patra. Who, when, where, what.
Yeah. So currently there is also a set of thought, or some devotees are talking about the dresses, like whether one should really wear dhoti or kurta.
Are you asking about Hridayananda Maharaj and Krishna West?
Yes, Maharaj, kind of like that. What is your opinion in terms of that? Like,
this is going all over the universe. Hello, Maharaj.
So just wanted your thoughts, like when Prabhupada was personally present, we see many of the devotees being in traditional dresses like dhoti, kurta and tilak, and ladies in the saris.
Yeah.
Of course, right now, the question is that just something which Prabhupada necessarily wanted all the devotees, or was it because most of the devotees back that time were kind of joined the temple, and those who had joined the temple are okay to be in that dress, but those who are still working and in the environment in the outside world, they are okay to wear Western dress, or which one is better? Because some people are saying that having regular dress, which is culturally and socially more acceptable, is better to connect with people. So what is your
this is always time, place, and circumstance. Devamrita Swami also does a program, the Krishna Lounge and those kind of things, But I would say that Hridayananda Maharaj's nature is more aggressive and stuff like that. He's an iconoclast type person. He likes to break icons, and he likes to go through pioneer new areas and stuff like that. I hope we're friends. Because we just went through a whole thing in South America about some administrative thing like that and stuff, and we have very different administrative natures and stuff. So anyway, everybody's personal, and so it comes down to a personal movement. So I would say that, for example, Devamrita Swami, I think even told Hridayananda Maharaj, why are you making such a big deal out of this? Just do it and stuff, But Maharaj's program is like, there's homosexuality or something else like that, is to stir things up, So whatever nature we have, if we're Krishna conscious, it's essential. You need people who do this and start. Because Paul say, hey, in terms of the Western movement, we're a failure. 90% of our movement is simply in India. We become an Indian movement. Okay, somebody's, we don't want to talk about that. So Mara's coming along and doing that, So it's time, place, and circumstance. In terms of the dress code, for example, working with the Bhaktivedanta Institute with Swarup Damodar Maharaj, I know that Prabhupada pushed them to wear university dress when they were preaching.
Not dhoti,
to wear all the programs. He said you should wear suit, tie, let your hair grow out a little bit, but wear tilak. So Prabhupada gave like a very specific thing to them. So Damodar Maharaj, adjusting it many years later, wouldn't wear a tilak. Sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. But he would wear a suit and tie, and Prabhupada said good looking dress and stuff. So there are cases where, and in general, Prabhupada accepted people who were working in regular occupations and stuff. Yeah, they should wear, but when you're going to the temple or you're going out there, should be, it's more like a Brahminical atmosphere, Brahmachari, Brahmacharini, and that kind of stuff, But yeah, and so it's, it's depending on, you got to see the result. And sometimes, yes, it's like people see us and they, oh, those are the Hare Krishnas, and that's how you dress, and so on, Anutama, who's working for ISKCON Publications, he said they go to the anti-cult meetings. There's a big anti-cult, institution. And now we've actually become, ISKCON is no longer classified as a cult, stuff, So they were going to them. But he and his wife, was it Rukmini? They went to there and there's registration, they got there a little early. And the guy who was there who knew them, he said, oh, and it's his secular name, whatever it is, and stuff. And they went like in better ISKCON dress, but like nice looking, just nice looking, And he was talking a little bit, and he said, I have to go use the restroom. Could you stay here and register people? And he said, you want us to sit here like this and register people? I said, yeah, no problem. People are coming in and they're saying, hello, welcome to this year's anti-cult movement. My name is... But that's... they thought like, okay, we can come in as like participants, but to become in as the organizer, they thought it's not appropriate, but the guy thought it was, so it's like, Lord Chaitanya took a sannyas from a Mayavadi Sampradaya, right? Because that's what people understood, So I say, when I use, Hridayana Maharaj, I talk about this, I am Hanumat Presaka Swami, parentheses, Professor Huber Hutchin Robinson. He presents himself as Professor Howard Resnick, parentheses, Hridayananda Goswami. And we're talking about it, and it's just one approach. I go in like this directly as an Asian monk. I feel comfortable this way. They say my last lifetime this is so comfortable for me, But then, I with this preface that, I've got qualifications, an academic person. I'm a monk who's like he goes in as an academic person, meets people, and then when he gets off the airplane with his secular dress, there's 150 people hopping up and down, screaming and chanting and falling at his feet, and all the other passengers are looking, and we didn't know who you were, that stuff, Yeah, but now they're ready for it. We know you're a sane guy, so what is this, Howard? So I'm a bishop in this movement. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's this, time, place, circumstance. How to make these practical decisions. Parasura Dharma Shastra Prabhupada recommends it in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, Vishnudeva's instructions to Yudhishthira. And he recommends the Brahmanas should know Manu Samhita, Parasura Dharma Shastra for making these practical advice to the kings, how to set the administration. I tracked it down at the University of California Law Library. It took me like, I had 5 librarians working. It was like make my day. It was just like, it's fun. We got something where we can use all of our knowledge. And they finally tracked one. There was one copy in English of the law library in the second basement there. They finally tracked it down. Well, they found it in this old card catalog which hadn't been put into the system. And she said, I got it. And they were all running over. Like that was like librarians, delight of some rare book and digging it out like that. So after that, I noticed that many things Prabhupada would talk about in administration during room conversations were he was citing directly from Parasura's Dharma Shastra, remarriage in ISKCON, girls getting married before they reach puberty. Yeah, these are directly citations, which is for the Kali Yuga. Manu Samhita is more for Dwapara Yuga. Yeah. And Parasura says, hey, Kali Yuga is such a messed up chaos that I cannot possibly give you instructions about it at every situation. So here's some basic principles about what the standard is, and then after that, you can consult one sadhaka totally dedicated to spiritual life. Prabhupada, should we allow people to remarry, this and that stuff? Well, you should do this. Okay, So Prabhupada, okay. She said, if you haven't got that kind of person, a synod of 6 Brahmins can come to the same illumination. So get 6 nice devotees together and talk about what's going to be the standard. Can the pujaris go on the altar in tuxedos? Or can they wear Catholic robes and stuff? Or Buddhist The Buddhists, they have a whole thing of cassocks, you know, it's very part of Buddhism. The priest has to be dressed in very expensive, you know, yeah. What is the standard for ladies covering their heads in the temple?
It used to be a normal practice at the time of Prabhupada.
Yeah, well, the problem is, I remember Los Angeles one time when Mamaji had her thing, I saw her over her face, she said, why are you doing that? To be chaste, Prabhupada. Prabhupada thought for a second, Prabhupada said, not like this, not like this, like this. I hate to bring this up during lectures, like especially in South America where people are more religious, because I know as soon as I say it, some of the ladies will start like, and I was, did it, and one of my disciples, she was the first to do it. I knew she was going to be the first to do it because she has that, character and stuff, like a little chase lady type thing. I knew you were the first to do it. So, the others were laughing and saying, I wanted to do it, but I felt it was going to, yeah. So it's just talk about it with nice devotees, and you can figure out what's the standard. Ladies especially, they're in the dress, like them and stuff. Okay. And at one retreat program, they all talk, what's the thing going to be? They agreed nobody would wear shorts, but they would wear capris, which come down to the mid-calf. This is in California, United States. It was going to be too hot. Dresses would be impractical. It was a camping program. It was okay, ladies. They wore longer shirt and down to the ankle. Okay, there was California. In India, Punjabis are okay, right? The ladies in the temple with a Punjabi outfit is considered okay. I was in Mayapur, and with a family sitting there watching the deities and little kids, and the police lady came by and looked at the girl. She maybe about 12, and just held out a rubber band like this, I was looking at that, and the little girl grabbed it and went like that, and just did her hair up like that and stuff, And so she knew, probably if her parents told her to do it, she might be rebellious, but a police lady, immediately she knew there was, in the temple I should have my hair done up, But that's, wow, it's India. You don't even, lady doesn't even go with her hair open in the temple, it's disrespectful. Okay, United States, something else. Yeah, Black Baptist church is different than a white Protestant church, white Baptist church. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for
Thank you all very much.